Let's go through the code 844 backspace string compare. So it gave us string S and T. In the both string is composed with lower letter and a pound character. For this pound character, it means a backspace. So for example, this one we have A and a B pound. So if that means we need to backspace to get rid of this B. So in the end, the S is become AB. And T, the same thing. We type A and we have a D. The pound is deleting the previous one. So in the end, also return AB. So intuitively, what I was thinking about is that we can use two string builder, right? And we have pound just delete the last characters and in the end we just compare the final strings or use stack, whatever. But in that case, um, it will have own space complexity. It asking us, can we solve the question in own time and O1 space? So we can think about this one using two pointers. So for the S string and the T strings, right? The final string, they will be equal, right? So if the final string is a word, right? And this one is also word. So we can compare from the first to the end, right? So for example, we can compare W W O O R R D D, right? We can also compare from the back, that the first one, right? The last one, right? If D equals, then R, whether R equals or not. But there is some pound sign between these kind of words, right? So for example, if we have, for example, this will be NWO, A, B, pound, R, D, right? And another one, for example, it will be W, A, D, O, R, D, right? So we for the pound that means um we need that is the delete previous, right? So, but if um we do I they at from the reverse order, the pound that means we can continue to move or we can skip. For example, we have one point that means we can for example we have the pound for the this kind I index is made twice, right? That means we can skip two index, right? Until we use out of this point counts. So it will stay here. So the same thing here, right? So we have G moving one by one. So let's go through the steps. The first one is D, right? They equal. And then the second one is R. They equal as well, right? And J moving to O, right? But I is here because this kind of point is increasing and keep it moving, right? So that means we can skip the next two characters, right? So I will move in here that use out of the point counts. So I will be sitting here, right? So this I and J, they have same index O, right? And also J, you see, this one has point J count that equals one, right? So that means we can skip this and come here. We have J count equals to one again. We can skip this again, right? So in the end, we have J being here and I being here. We compare the W, right? So if during this process, all of the words they are all of the letter uh, we are compare, right? That is the I and J soft. If they are equal, then in the end the result are equal, right? So let's implement this logic into code. So we are going to have int n equals s dot length and m equals t dot length. Let's have I equals n minus 1 and j equals m minus 1. Let's have for I index, it has the point count equals to 0, and J index have a point count equal to 0, right? So what we do is I greater equal to 0, um, or J is greater equal to 0, right? So here, we'll say right I minus J minus. So here we have conditions. For example, if I is greater equal to 0, and J is smaller than 0, right? Or let's see, or and I is smaller than 0, and J is greater equal to 0. In this case, we need to return false, right? So what does this one mean is that we keep moving those kind of I and G, right? Because for I and G, if they have point, that means we can skip multiple indexes, right? So we also need to write two while loops. Um, so we'll see for I indexes, so when I is greater or equal to 0, um, all right, and s dot char at I equals pound sign, or I count is greater than 0, right? In this case, we'll have I keeping moving. So we'll say if s dot char at I equals pound sign, we'll have I count should increase, right? Else we'll have I count should decrease, right? So this is every time we're moving this I index. So we also need this kind of while loop, while j is greater or equal to 0. And s dot t dot char at j equals pound sign, or j count is greater than 0, right? So in this case, we're keeping moving j. So we'll also write if t dot char at j equals this pound sign, we'll have j count should increase. Else that is not a pound sign, we'll just use this kind of we just use this point for skip, right? So here, if I and j have one has been out of bound, and another still have characters, that means uh, uh, that means um, that means for because they have um that means for J, right? For this one means for J, at least there is some characters uh not finished yet. Otherwise, this will also go finish the while loop, right? So the case should both I and J should be smaller than 0 after this while loop, right? The last one, right? And also we can write uh, we should compare the characters, right? So the characters that is right. If I is greater or equal to 0, and j is greater or equal to 0, and s dot char at I doesn't equal to t dot char at j, right? In this case, we should also return false. So in the end, we're jumping out of the while loop. Both I and j will be -1, right? That's the return true. So this will be the code. Um, this should be and, right? And here, we use all, right? Use all, we just need one while loop. If you write and, right? Write and, what you need is, for example, you need to write this one. You need to have this kind of while loop again, right? Should write three while loops. So, uh, so we'll write something like this, right? And um, but if there is character, for example, if j is already smaller than zero, right? If so, so you just write if I is greater than zero, right? I after this while loop, just return false, right? And we don't need to compare. So, and you also needed to, if you use and, you has need to write another while loop g, while j equals. Uh, so, um, it's not good as we write O, right? You use O, we just need one while loop. So this will be the code. Mm. Let's also write this in Python code. So we'll have I and j equals, and also I point count, j point count equals length s minus one, and the length t minus one, and zero, zero, right? So we have while I is greater equal to zero or j is greater equal to zero. Then we'll have while the I is greater equal to zero, and s pound s I equals pound, or I count is greater than zero, right? So in this case, we'll have I minus equal to one. So we can keep moving this I index. So let's say if Si equals a pound sign, then we'll have I count should increase by one, right? Then we'll have else I count should decrease by one. And we also need another while loop for j, right? So while j is greater equal to zero, and stj equals a pound sign, or j pound count is greater than zero, then we can have j keeping moving j, right? In this case, we can move in j. Um, and when we move in j, well, right, if tj equals pound sign, we have a j count should increase by one, else j count should decrease by one, right? So after moving out of this while loop, we'll write, we'll have, for example, if I is greater equal to zero and j is smaller than zero, or I is smaller than zero and j is greater or equal to 0. In this case, we need to return false, right? And we'll write if I and j they are greater, right? So if I uh, greater or equal to 0, and j is greater or equal to 0, and si doesn't equal to sj. In this case, we also return false, right? So in this while loop, we're keeping have moving I minus equal to 1 and j minus equal to 1, right? In the end, just return true. T. Okay.